Once upon a time, in a faraway land, there was a small, quiet, old town. It looked like your typical quaint neighborhood, except for one thing. Hidden behind tall, ivy-covered walls stood an ancient library no one ever entered after sunset. It was called the Library of Evernight, and legend said that those who dared to visit it after dark would get lost in its endless shelves forever. One day, though, a curious boy named Reyan heard these stories from the townspeople and became determined to solve the mystery. As dusk settled over the horizon, he snuck past the ivy and creaking doors and stepped inside. The musty scent of aged paper filled his nostrils as he gasped at the sight before him. The shelves towered like endless trees, laden with countless books, each one whispering secrets from beyond the grave. Suddenly, Reyan felt a cold shiver crawl up his spine. He turned around and noticed two glowing eyes peering at him from between the books. Before he could react, a skeletal creature with skin like parchment and limbs made of twisted branches lunged out. More emerged from the shadows, their eyes blazing with eerie light. They were creatures of ink and smoke given life from the pages of the books. Then Reyan realized he had stumbled into the very stories he had heard so many times before. He had entered the Library of Evernight, and now the creatures that lurked within its shelves were chasing him. As they closed in, Reyan frantically searched for a way out. He dashed between the endless rows of books until he spotted a ladder disappearing into the gloom above. With no other options, he raced up the creaking ladder and found himself in a hidden part of the library he had never seen before. There sat a beautiful girl with flowing hair and skin that shone with an otherworldly glow, and just as he reached her, a book slammed shut behind him, plunging them into darkness. "Quick, hide," the girl whispered urgently. "These creatures will stop at nothing to keep you here." Then she introduced herself. "My name is Lyra. I used to be a human girl, but I have been trapped here for so long that now I am half human, half story. My shadow flickers like words on a page, forever searching for a way out of this place." Before Reyan could respond, more creatures of ink and smoke poured through the opening. "You cannot escape," one cackled, its voice like rustling parchment. "This library has claimed you now. You are part of our story." Lyra stepped forward defiantly. "I will not let that happen. I know a way out, but first, we must find the answer to the riddle that brought you here. If you can solve it, we may all be free." Reyan frowned, confused. "What riddle?" Just then, the book that had blocked their entrance swung open, revealing a faint glow. Inside, the words swirled and shifted until they formed a sentence. "To leave this hall, answer my call, or forever be bound in Evernight's wall." Lyra explained that the riddle was left by the evil sorcerer who had trapped her here all those years ago. Whoever solved it would be granted passage out of the library. But what did it mean? Reyan pondered the words, turning them over in his mind. The answer seemed so close, yet he couldn't quite grasp it. As he struggled, the creatures of ink and smoke closed in, their eyes gleaming with anticipation. "Give up, human," one taunted. "You will never escape this place alive." Reyan shook his head, refusing to let fear overcome him. He thought back to when he first entered the library. He remembered how the shelves seemed endless, and how the books whispered secrets. Suddenly, it hit him. The riddle wasn't about finding a physical key. It was about something much simpler. Taking a deep breath, he called out, "I choose to leave with her." In an instant, everything changed. The creatures recoiled as if burned by an invisible flame, their forms flickering and fading. The books slammed shut and the air crackled with energy. Reyan and Lyra joined hands, and a blinding light enveloped them as the library shook with a tremendous roar. The creatures screamed in terror as they dissolved into wisps of smoke. Then, just as suddenly, everything went silent. Blinking, Reyan looked around to see the library in ruins. Ivy and vines had reclaimed the courtyard, turning it into a tangled mess. Relief washed over him as he realized he was outside once again. But something caught his eye. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a bookmark with the word Lyra shining faintly. A smile touched his lips as he tucked it away. He knew, deep in his heart, that his adventure in the Library of Evernight had been real. Now, let's take a closer look at Reyan and Lyra. Reyan was a bright and curious boy who loved exploring the world around him. He had a thirst for knowledge and a kind heart, always ready to help those in need. But sometimes his curiosity got the better of him, and he would find himself in sticky situations. On the other hand, Lyra was a graceful and determined girl who refused to give up hope, even after being trapped for so long. She was intelligent and quick-witted, always thinking several steps ahead. Despite the hardships she had endured, her spirit remained unbroken. Together, Reyan and Lyra made an unlikely but powerful team. Reyan's enthusiasm and optimism balanced out Lyra's cynicism and pragmatism. They learned from each other and grew stronger because of their differences. The climax of their adventure occurred when Reyan solved the riddle and chose to stay with Lyra instead of escaping alone. This act of bravery and selflessness surprised even Lyra, who had become jaded from years of solitude. It showed that true courage doesn't always come from solving puzzles or defeating enemies, but sometimes from making difficult decisions that require empathy and compassion. Meanwhile, the creatures of ink and smoke served as constant reminders of the dangers that lurked within the library. They represented the darkness and despair that threatened to consume Reyan and Lyra, testing their resolve and determination to escape. Throughout their journey, Reyan and Lyra faced many obstacles that challenged their friendship and pushed them to their limits. They had to work together, using their combined intelligence and skills to navigate the ever-changing library and avoid the creatures that sought to capture them. As the story progressed, the library itself became a character, shifting and adapting to their every move. Its labyrinthine shelves and secret passages kept them on their toes, forcing them to remain vigilant and resourceful. And finally, let's talk about the setting. The old town where Reyan lived was a place filled with mystery and folklore. Its cobblestone streets and ancient buildings created a sense of timeless nostalgia, transporting readers to a bygone era. The library, hidden away behind ivy-covered walls, was a place of both wonder and danger, where the boundaries between reality and fantasy blurred. Overall, the enchanting setting added depth and atmosphere to the story, making the adventure all the more immersive and exciting. So, what lessons can we learn from Reyan and Lyra's adventure? Firstly, the story teaches us that true courage isn't just about physical strength or fighting abilities, but also about making difficult choices and standing up for what's right. Secondly, it shows that even in the darkest of places, hope should never be extinguished. Just like Lyra, we should never give up on ourselves or those we care about. Finally, the tale emphasizes the importance of friendship and working together. Reyan and Lyra's different perspectives and strengths complemented each other, helping them overcome challenges that neither could have conquered alone. So, if you ever find yourself lost in a metaphorical library of life, remember to stay hopeful, trust your friends, and always choose courage over fear. You never know what adventures await you on the other side of the bookshelf.